Hello and welcome to today's episode of Piano TV. It has been a really long time since I've done any kind of tutorial on this channel, so I thought it would be a good time to pull one out of my back pocket that I've taught at least a dozen times, if not more, in my day as a piano teacher, especially to younger children. This was inspired by a friend of mine, shout out, who is a big fan of the Legend of Zelda series. We used to play them together all the time as a kid, and she's learning piano and she was curious about Zelda music. So I'm going to be sharing a tutorial for The Lost Woods from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This is just a really simple arrangement that I've been using for a while. It's somewhere in the ballpark of, I would say, a grade 1 level, grade 1 to 2 level. I usually felt fairly confident teaching kids who were in maybe the Piano Adventures 3 books or something like that. People who'd been playing for maybe kids, maybe 2 years, adults maybe around 1 year. And that it's a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing, it's really fast. So I think the one thing that this is good practice for is chords at a fast tempo, and not just solid chords, but bottom, top chords, BTTTs. I feel like I don't have a better way to shorten that, but BTTTs, yeah, lots of root position chords, and also how to keep the left hand light, even though the left hand is really busy. So even if you're not a gamer or feel a little strange calling anyone a gamer, just because this is so long ago, like this is ancient. This is like an archaic video game, basically, is like 20 years ago. So hardly in the realm of modern gaming. But anyway, even if you're not, this is a fun piece to learn. So I hope you'll join us. Let's get started. Time to look at this piece in some amounts of depth. And the first thing that is what we usually look at when we're doing a tutorial, but is a little ambiguous in this piece, and by a little I mean a lot, is what is our key signature. So naturally, when we don't have any sharps or flats in the beginning, we're gonna think, okay, this has two options. There are only two scales in pretty much all of music that doesn't have any sharps or flats. So that's either gonna be the key or the scale of C major, or the key or scale of A minor. But this is ambiguous because there are very few C chords throughout the piece. So we have a C chord falling in basically at the second half, and then in the third line we have some C chords as well. But usually if a piece is in the key of C, it's either going to start with the C chord or end with the C chord. And you'll notice that we end with an E chord and we start with an F chord. So that's a little strange, and we don't see any clues towards A minor. So I see one A minor chord in the piece, but that's not a strong enough indicator that that would be the key. So to me, C major makes sense somewhat as a key because there are a few C major chords spread out in the piece. But since there's that F chord at the beginning and that E chord at the end, we're a little bit confused. So what I could say is it's possible that this piece could be in the key of F, because I see the chord F come up and its relative minor pair come up a lot, D minor. Those chords are pretty common in this piece. But the weird thing is the key of F has a B flat, F, G, A, B flat. And every single B in this piece, every single one is natural. Like there's not a single B flat in this entire piece. So that's a little bit strange as well. And then just a kind of fun little theory note, where does this E chord even come from? The E suspended forward to the E major. This is actually, don't worry if this means nothing to you, but I just want to get into the theory for some of you nerds out there. This is the secondary dominant, meaning it's the dominant chord of the dominant chord. Assuming we are in fact in the key of D minor, because if we're in the key of D minor, then the dominant chord 5 notes up would be A. And then the secondary dominant up from A would be E. So this last chord here, the E major, actually supports the idea of this piece being in the key of D minor, as far as I'm concerned. Because we do see F chords, we do see D minors, we see some chords that fit with the key of D minor. But it's ambiguous. Like, I don't think there's one right answer for this. I just thought that would be a fun thing to take a little bit of a peek at. Another thing that we want to look at for this piece, aside from the key signature, are the slash chords. So slash chords are what they sound like. There's a chord and then there's a slash note beside it. So if we have F and there's no slash, what this is telling us is our chord is probably going to be in root position, which means the bottom note is going to be F. So you can see that. F bum bum bum, F bum bum bum. So this is a root position F chord. Now, if we see something that says C slash E, what this is telling us is we're playing a C chord, but instead of it starting on a C, the bottom note is actually going to be an E. Now, we can see that this bottom note is E, E, bum, 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 E, bum, bum. It's still an E, G, and C, the 3 notes of a C chord, but the slash chord tells us that we're starting on a note different from root position. So you'll see some of these slash chords come up in the 3rd line as well. D minor in its root form starting on a D. G major in a modified form starting on a B. That is wrong. That should be a D. G slash D. Sorry about that, guys. Typo on the music. C chord is in root position. A minor slash C. So we have a few slash chords in here, or slash chords. So hopefully that makes sense on how to read them. Basically, the second letter is telling you what the bottom note of the chord is. And if there's no second letter, then that basically just means that you're playing it in regular root position. So if you see C, assume the bottom note is going to start on a C. If you see A minor slash C, assume that the bottom note is also going to start on C. Hopefully that makes some amount of sense. Please forgive my slash chords. I will update that for you guys so it's in the right place. When I teach this piece, I start by playing solid chords in the left hand, not the bottom top pattern. Basically, you want your left hand to be comfortable with all of the chord shapes before you attempt any of the rapid fire playing of those chords. So the bottom top 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 pattern looks like bottom top top top, bottom top top top. So here I'm playing an F chord. Instead of playing it in its solid form, I'm just playing the bottom note and then the top note 3 times. So I'm going bottom top top top, bottom top top top, which requires quite a bit of coordination. So I really like starting playing with the chords like this. Because this allows you to get comfortable with all the chord shapes and the right hand. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like an uphill battle, especially with the rapid fire chord changes in the second half. Once you're comfortable playing like this, then you go in and add the bottom top 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 pattern. But I wouldn't try to do more than the first line, because if you try to play through the whole piece with the bottom top top tops, having never done it before, it's going to feel really laborious. You're going to grind through it. It's going to not be that fun. It's way better to master the bottom top 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 pattern in the first line before moving forward, because it'll click into place much more easily once you have that first line mastered. So I would even just spend an entire practice session playing until this feels like second nature. Doesn't even need to be fast, just a moderate tempo. And not moving forward until you're at a level of ease with that, where it honestly just feels easy. It feels simple and straightforward. Let's also discuss this trill towards the end. It's not really a trill. It's rather just this fast-fingered 16th note passage in the melody. The best way to think about playing this is to, like, without getting too much into the 16th note counting, is to just think about playing it as twice as fast as all the preceding notes. So the preceding notes are da ba ba da ba da ba da ba da 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 da. So if I'm to do the 16th notes twice as fast. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, E and a 1. So that's our rhythm. So just keeping in mind that you want to play it twice as fast. Sometimes I like to teach this by skipping some of the notes. So just pretending I'm carrying on with the 8th note pattern. So 8th note, 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 8th, 8th, 8th. So the 16th notes add an upper note below the E and a lower note below the E. But if you take away the 16th notes and just do 8th notes, so it sometimes helps to just learn the simple 8th note version, because then it's easier to visualize how the rhythm of these extra filler notes fit in, and then putting that all together. So that is one way to help make this make rhythmic sense. Anyway, that's the piece. That's the gist of it. Have fun with it, my friends. And that's it for today's tutorial. As always, you can find the sheet music linked below on the corresponding blog post that you can download for free and use at your own will. Remember, this is about a grade 1 level piece, so if you've been playing a year or two, you should be able to pull this one off. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I hope my friend who I'm sharing this for enjoys it as well, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.